In this series of videos, we're going to be introducing the different types of minor scales and their relationship to the equivalent major scale, or rather the relative major scale. Now, before we jump into identifying types of minor scales, we need to look at how major and minor scales that share the same key signature are related to one another. So we're going to do a quick review of determining the key signature and constructing major scales using B-flat major as our example. So if we use the circle of fifths method, we know that as a flat key, we need to count backwards a perfect fifth from C in order to find out how many perfect fifths down from C we need to go. So if we count backward from C, C, B, A, G, F major would be the flat key that has one flat, and if we count backward from F, F, E, D, C, we end up at B flat, and because we have gone down two perfect fifths, this means that B flat major has two flats within it. And if we remember the order of flats, battle ends, and down goes Charles' father, we know that having two flats, B flat major is going to have a B flat and an E flat. And if we construct the scale, starting on a B flat as our do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now, if we wanted to use the shortcut method, it works relatively similarly. We know that the flat in the starting pitch of our scale, B flat, is going to be the second last flat in the key signature, and since B flat is here, that means that all we need to do is go one flat over E flat in order to find the last flat, and using either method, we end up with the same result. Now, when we were introduced to the difference between major and minor scales, we know that every major scale starts on do. That's the solfege syllable that is given to the first note of the scale. And if we wanted to find the minor scale that uses the same key signature, all that we would need to do is either count 6 pitches up to la, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, or count down from do to la, do, ti, la. And either way, we find that we end up with the same pitch. So in B flat major, if we designate B flat as do, no matter whether we count up to la or down to la, we find that G is equal to la. So this is how we determine what the related minor scale is to the major scale, is we keep the same key signature, so both scales based on B flat and G are going to have two flats, B flat and E flat, but we start the scale on la instead. So at this point, because G is la, we're going to start our minor scale here, and if we actually sing the scale, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, you have a scale that sounds reminiscent of a minor scale. So the term that we use for major and minor scales that share the same key signature are, as was alluded before, they are what we call relative major and minor scales. So what this means is that B flat major is the relative major scale of G minor, and G minor is the relative minor scale to B flat major, because again, they share an identical key signature and indeed identical pitches within the scale. The only difference is which pitch is the starting pitch for the scale. Now, because there is no modification of the pitches that takes place between the major scale and the relative minor scale and vice versa, this form of the minor scale is what we call the natural minor scale, because again, the pitches remain identical to the relative major scale, just starting on a different pitch. In the next video, we're going to take a look at how to use the circle of fifths directly in order to identify the key signature and pitches of a minor scale without needing to find the relative major scale first. But until that video, take a look at the practice problems below and see if you can use the relative major scale in order to identify what the key signature and pitches of the following minor scales are before the next video.